today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to use the wow changes. I'm going to play with these changes and show you how I personally add embossing powders and mix them together to enhance my range of current embossing powders that I have in my stash. So this is the changes, and it's a lightning changes range where you can change your texture and the look and the feel of your embossing powders. So we've got three types. We've got a texture that adds a really nice gritty texture that melts beautifully. We've got Glisten to make your own embossing glitters, which I'm going to be using today. And then you've got Sheen. So that adds like an overall beautiful iridescent sheen to your mix, and it's stunning. I mean, I know it all looks white now, but it just goes clear with texture and it's beautiful. Now, what I decided to do today, now this kit also comes with 3 empty little bottles, containers. So these jars you can mix with your current stash. For today, I'm going to use a Mayan Glints and a Rose Glints. So I'm going to make 2 different panels. And I'm going to use these ultra high opaque bright white particles. So these are quite thicker in granulation. And the Glints range that I'm using, the Mayan and the Rose, is really ultra fine shimmer. And so I thought I'm going to make my own embossing glitter with some extra texture from the ultra high embossing powder in the bright white opaque. To help scoop this into the jars, I'm going to be using a scoop tool from Tonic, and I'm going to show you the measurements I make in today's card creation panel. So I'm going to do 2 scoops of the embossing of the Glisten, and then I'm going to add, this is the Mayan. Now the Mayan has a little bit more of a peachy pink undertone, and I'm going to use 1.5 scoops. I'm not very particular in measurements as such. I work with the scoop. I probably could have made more, but I'm actually okay with what I achieved as the end result. Now I put about 1/3 of a scoop with this. I'm going to place the cap back on, and then I'm going to give it a really, really good shake. Now make sure that you have mixed this up perfectly. As you can see, I actually didn't make much, but it's actually, this is a perfect amount to cover a whole back panel. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now I'm going to do something really technical here. It's pressing my ink pad over a white cardstock and saturating that card panel with as much embossing ink as possible. I really want this to stick. And the reason why I'm pretty heavy-handed with that is because we do have the ultra high particles. It's a bigger granulation, and I wanted to make sure I was able to capture that and that was able to stick properly onto my panel. Using a paper actually helps me put it back into the panel and funnel it back into the jar, or direct method here that I've used. Now I will pretty much bring that back into view, just in case if there's any excess, it lands on the actual copy paper. And then I'm just slowly making sure it's all over the panel as much as possible. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to heat set this from underneath. The reason being is because I've got the ultra high particles on there. It will be easily flown away by wind or pressure and any high speed. So I'm going to start off by heat embossing from underneath with the heat setting tool, with my heat set tool on setting 2. This is a wow ultra embossing heat tool here. Struggling with my words. Anyway, so heating back from underneath, making sure my whole panel is done. Once I feel like I've gotten most of the panel, that's when I'll go over the top, from the top view, and just quickly, wave my embossing heat tool just over the top, just to make sure I caught everything and heat set everything I needed to heat set. And there is panel 1. Panel 2, I'm going to use rose, and I added an extra scoop of rose powder on here, and you'll be able to tell the difference on my panels because it added an extra bit of color to my panel. So I think it's a really great way to, you know, kind of indicate you can go as little or as heavy as you like. The more obviously ratio you play with, the more you could lose the actual glisten and embossing powder side of things, or the glitter effect. But it's really going to be up to you. It's here to, it's, you know, for you to have fun and play with. That's what it's there for, and that's what I've certainly done today. Okay, so once you can see the white granules again there. I really love the effect. Now I flipped my heat embossing tool to heat setting 1 because I felt like I really overheated that and I didn't want to ruin it. So just heat setting 1 and then did a quick glaze over, heat over there. And you can see the difference. There's more color, impact of color on the left hand side with the rose because I added that extra bit of powder of the actual embossing glints. And there you go. I love these two colors. I'm totally going to be using these two colors more often. I love how you can see the ultra high on my cards, and I'm going to be experimenting way more with this. Now here is some die cuts I've cut from Pretty Pink Posh and Uniquely Creative. This is the modern stems. The other one's the bold butterflies, and I've already cut it with the gold foil and white cardstock. I have cut the panels down, and I've also cut white cardstock panels to mat that on, and to mat on a craft top folding card base. Now I've got some sentiments from Alter New. I used 2 sentiments from the one stamp set. I didn't end up using the Labels Collection one. I love the font and the script of the first stamp set, so I've got an heat set with opaque bright white and gold embossing powder in 2 different sentiments. This one here says sending you warm hugs. The other one says you are in my thoughts. These are the type of cards I've been making as of lately. I'm not making as many birthday cards, which I usually do, and usually never have enough in my stash, but I'm going to have to make a couple more, I think, just in case. And I'm just going to make sure I heat set these sentiments through. Once I'm happy with heat setting these sentiments, I'm going to set them aside and start piecing my cards together. One tip with heat embossing too is any strays that you don't want. I tend to use a fine point needle, my tool-in-one. Today I had my scissors. I know I'm using fancy tools, but that was what was in reach, and so that is what I used today. Once I'm happy with the sentiments, I'm going to foam mount these sentiments, but I'm going to set them aside because I'm going to adhere these panels all together. Now I do a mixture of foam, mount tape, this is 3M Scotch, and then also liquid adhesive with my Tombow Mono Liquid. It is one of my ones that I reach to often, but usually because it's always on my table. To adhere anything down like die cuts, if I'm not using liquid adhesive, and for butterflies, I feel like I can get away with some glue dots here, just placed behind the body. And I was pretty happy with that. The center, that will hold. The glue dots are pretty strong hold. And I wanted the wings of the butterfly to remain a little bit more fluttery as well. So then adding with the liquid adhesive to the stems, I'm going to adhere that down and just place a block. And I'm just placing the block just temporarily while I figure out what I'm doing with my sentiments, where I'm going to place them, and how I'm going to have them on my card. So I just place some foam adhesive behind those. And that's really it. Plain, but it's beautiful. Play. This is a great opportunity for you to play with your changes and enhance the embossing powders you've got in your stash. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I can't wait to read your comments. Thank you. Have a lovely day.